And we are back. Seeds of Fortune Incorporated is a non-for-profit that's committed to empowering young women of color on their financial, or I should say, on their journey towards financial security. Now, using a comprehensive approach, the organization provides members with the tools and resources needed to succeed in today's economy. Join me now is the founder and executive director of Seeds of Fortune, Nitiya Walker. And Nitiya, thank you so much for being with us.
It's so wonderful to be here today as well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And so, for somebody who may not be so familiar with your program, talk to us a little bit about the organization.
So, Seeds of Fortune is an online platform and a scholars program that helps to financially empower young women across New York City and beyond in order to get to college with the least amount of debt, but also be able to explore high income earning careers as well. So, that's us at Seeds of Fortune. We've gotten our girls $45 million in scholarships and are celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year.
Amazing. $45 million is no small number to look at. What do you say about the college experience? Because it can be so overwhelming for a parent that's trying to put their child through college, and then also that, that student that's trying to really move on to that next chapter of life. It's a high hurdle sometimes. It's a high hurdle. But, when you talk about making college affordable and then also accessible, I think that eases the pressure for both student as well as parent.
No, definitely. Sometimes the student and the parent are not quite on the same page sometimes, unfortunately. But I think the biggest thing that really parents and students both need to think about is that it's really what is the return on investment that the college is going to provide to you at the end of the 2 or 4 years that you will be attending. Especially, I think a lot of times in New York City, right? You're thinking like your education so far has been pretty much free unless you went to Catholic or private school. So sometimes students go into a mindset with that as well into the college process, but it really is a financial decision that you and your parents are making. So, really, when they're thinking about the college process, how many students are leaving this college with careers, right? Job placement or some type of skill set that is going to make you employable by the end of it? Is this environment that graduates its students, right? So, looking at the graduation rate of that institution in college before committing to it this year, the financial aid process has gotten a little delayed because of the new changes with FAFSA. How is the college responding to that? Did they provide you a financial aid package on time? Did they decide to meet with you and your family to go over your financial aid package, provide you additional aid and scholarship to be able to support your way through your college education? These are a lot of things that parents and students really need to be thinking about. The great thing I think in New York City, which is kind of like a hidden gem that a lot of New York students don't really know, is that our CUNY and SUNY colleges are nationally ranked across the country. So you can be getting almost a $90,000 value degree, right, for $10,000 a year. So these are some of the things that parents and students really need to be researching and looking at and seeing what's the best fit college, and that will open up accessibility and financial affordability for them.
So, for people who want to participate in the programs that you have to offer, obviously college preparedness is one. Really, just also the leadership, right? There's a college prep leadership program that you also do with Columbia University.
Yeah, so we have our College Prep Leadership Program that is coming up this fall. Applications will open on July 31st, but you can get on the wait list right now. We take seniors in high school across the 5 boroughs through the college application process, your college essay. What do you need to put on your activity section? What's the Common App? But then also to give you that college experience by being on Columbia University's campus and being surrounded by students that also want to go to college or have the desire or want to understand the next steps to be able to go to college. And then the event ends with a dinner with 15 other college partners we have across the country so that the students can learn leadership and networking skill sets. We all know that a lot of times business is conducted over a nice meal or over dinner. So this is a really great opportunity for the students to learn professionalism skills and put themselves out there and explain to the colleges why they're the best fit for them. But then on the other side, for the colleges to also explain why their college is the best fit for our students. That um, the program will take place on October, starting October 8th, and will run through December of 2024. So we're super excited to have students apply, and we really look forward to the impact that we're going to have on the class of 2025 next year.
That's valuable, the word that you use, impact, right? Because I think when you really put these tools to use, there's an impact that can be felt across, students. When we talk about students, many times the access to resources is present, but not really easily accessible. And then sometimes it can be accessible, but then not even, I would say, relevant sometimes to what they really are dealing with. But it seems as though that you understand what that is that needs to be accomplished in the life of a young person. For yourself, talk about navigating that process. How much of your frustration, if you will, how much of your experience do you say, I bring to the table and say, you know what, I had to go through this. I don't want this to be somebody else's experience.
Definitely. Growing up in New York City and trying to navigate the New York City public school to college system was quite confusing. I went to a pretty good high school, but we had about 1,000 graduating seniors, and we had about five college guidance counselors that were supporting that magnitude of students. So where there is maybe accessibility, there might not be equity, right? Because it's a lot for the college counselors to take on to help every single student navigate successfully. For me, I had a Girl Scout troop leader, Phyllis D. Pearson, who was a scholarship guru. And she was great. She worked with me for 6 weeks in the public library and taught me how to get scholarships, taught me the different parts of the system of the college application process. And I know that if it wasn't for her, I would have been totally lost. My mom, we got our first college bill. It was about $50,000 for the first year. And at that time, that's almost like three-fourths of like my mom's salary. So how would we be able to afford that for me to be able to have a college
Right.
education? And that really inspired me to be able to start Seeds of Fortune because somebody paid it forward for me, and I wanted to pay it forward for others. And we're excited to have been doing that for the last 10 years.
You're paying it forward in a lot of different ways, Nitiya. That you've got this leadership you're talking about, but then also I want to talk about your young ladies. And there's a girl startup accelerator that you have, and give us a little bit more insight into that.
Yes, they started last week with the Girl Startup Accelerator. 21 students were chosen across New York City and beyond to be able to cultivate their startup businesses. So, we really strongly believe here at Seeds of Fortune that in order to change things for the next generation, our girls have to be social impact oriented. So, all of their ideas have some type of social impact driven lens to it and is reflective of the communities they come from. On top of them developing their social impact ideas, they will pitch their ideas at BMO Capital Markets in Times Square, which is one of our corporate partners. And then they will be flown out to Miami to pitch for $6,000 in grand prizes with the Grant Cardone Foundation in Florida. But if that wasn't even enough, we decided that, sometimes it can be very hard to be an entrepreneur and really try to put those business skills to the test. So we decided to give them an internship during their time period where they would be learning business skill set, asset management, and really seeing how these business skill sets that they're learning in their business can apply to the real working world. So we're very excited for them, and we know that they're going to do great things. And looking forward to next year's cohort when it opens up in the summer of 2025.
And what does that mean to have young girls have that kind of exposure at an early age to really get the mindset of business, to get the mindset of really saying, listen, you can get ahead of the game early on?
It definitely is very impactful. When we look at the stats today, only about 3% of venture capitalist funding go less than 3% go to women, and then even a small percentage to women of color. So when we're looking at those odds kind of stacked against them, we really have to be able to instill in them confidence from an earlier age, the ability to be able to think clearly and articulate their ideas, but then just have that confidence to know that their ideas are valued and that they're going to face obstacles. But here in Seeds of Fortunes, where we believed in them first, to be able to nurture, no pun intended, that seed or idea that they had to go on to greater heights.
You got a very valuable career already, and you're listed in the 30 under 30 by Forbes. You've done some tremendous things. Where did you get the energy to say, listen, you know what? I'm starting out. I'm aiming high and I'm not looking back.
For me, I really think it came down to like me looking back into my community. I went to a college that was in a very wealthy neighborhood, and then I would come back to my neighborhood, which was suffering from a lot of poverty, a lot of violence. And I just knew that this couldn't be the future that we gave the next generation to. And I feel like that was a flame that ignited me to be able to really year over year come back and do the college process with the students. And I think now, in our older tenure as an organization, it's our students and our alumni that now in their working fields, seeing them climb socioeconomic ladders from where their parents were to where they are, seeing first generation students have opportunities that would have been very difficult many years ago for them to be able to access. It just really is a cycle of positivity and going back to what you said, impact that is really going to change our communities for the better moving forward. And I feel like that's the flame that ignites me to keep going.
Every people out there who are watching right now saying, listen, this is a very talented young lady. She's got a great organization. May want to take part in some of the things she has coming up in the future. What does the future look like for you, and what do you have on tap?
Yeah, so for us, you can get involved with Seeds of Fortune. We have decided that we want our students to be global citizens. So we expanded our outreach to Ghana. So we have our U.S. students working with our student scholars in Ghana. So if anyone's interested in like international relations or making the world a better place, taking New York City to the world, we would love to have you. We're also having our 10-year anniversary coming up on June 13th at Chase Harlem branch. So if you would like to get involved, please go to www.seedsoffortune.org/awards.
A lot going on there.
Definitely.
Talk to me about inspiration. Who are your inspiration as you look to, bring inspiration to your community? Is there anybody, a community activist or something that you say, hey, you know what? They're doing it. I want to learn how to do it like that.
What's so interesting? I think that coming from like an entrepreneurial landscape and just seeing like the impact that women have had in the business world, there's a New Yorker, Tiffany Dufu. She is now the executive director of the Tory Burch Foundation, and she's helping women entrepreneurs to be able to get funding as well as leadership skills to be able to sustain their businesses. And I feel like that's so important in today's society to have women that want to uplift other women, but she also was able to sell her um, for-profit company that gathered women to be able to help them navigate their mid-level careers. And I feel like that's what we do here at Seeds of Fortune. We take um, the New York City girls that have dreams and aspirations and are looking out their window thinking like, I want to be a lawyer someday, I want to be a doctor someday, and we're cultivating a community for them. So I feel like, yeah, I look up to Tiffany Dufu. I think she's amazing, and I think she's cultivated a community for women. And I'm looking forward to making similar impact in the future.
What's the conversation like in the space when it talks about in your space when he talks about gender equity, you know, the pay gap, and really just opportunity? What are you hearing?
Yeah, I feel like for us, it really comes down to trying to really close those gaps. But I think in most recent years, I think with any progression, there's a fear, right? A fear of the unknown, fear of those that are in power structures that want to take some of those advancements away. For us, we have looked at the McKinsey report that said only 5% of women make it to the C suite, of color make it to the C suite. So for us at Seeds of Fortune, we see that these are some obstacles on the horizon. So in our curriculum with the girls, we've really started to have them be able to advocate for themselves, right? Because you're talking about the gender pay gap. I know a lot of times when young people or even mid-level career and late career, when you go into a job interview and they ask you like, what's your salary, right? What did you make before? What are you intending to make here, right? Making our girls very crafty um, new labor market. So like starting all the way from the college application process, we tell our girls like negotiate with the colleges, like go back and appeal for more money,
Right.
right? Because you've done this, that, and the third. You've got A's in here, or you were part of your community service team at school. And the girls, they will go and they will advocate for more money on their behalf for their college education. And they will come back a lot of times with more money from the universities because the universities value them. And I think that those like example of that kind of skill set will transfer over for them in the future to a labor market that can sometimes be unjust and unfair. There are things that are progressing, but there are challenges with some of the regression happening. The great thing is we're in New York, so Mayor Adams has put in a $43 million investment in making New York City one of the most woman friendly cities in the country. So I think we're ripe and ready for the future.
When you talk about New York City, obviously, Mayor Eric Adams has had his share of both sides. You know, it's been good, it's been bad, but then at the same time, people have wondered, where does he stand on certain issues? Looking at the fact of what he's done right now, talk to me about just that and what that means for the gender, what that means for, really empowerment.
Definitely. There's actually a new initiative that has launched by the mayor's office called Future Her, which is investing in women and women of color specifically to have a whole agency or section of the New York City mayor's office that is focused on making New York City more equitable for women and girls. In particular, what I was esteemed to be a part of a couple of weeks ago was a think tank where they brought on educators, they brought in nonprofits, they brought in for profits for all us to come together to really think about what are the inequities that women and girls of color are facing in New York City from a socioeconomic perspective, from an education perspective, and from a labor market perspective to be able to break down these barriers and collaborate on resources to make the community better. So I'm very excited for the future of New York City and what it has to offer for women here.
Yeah. And the time before we get out, let's get people an opportunity to get connected to you. If they want to get connected to you in the organization, what do they do?
Yeah, so you can definitely find us on our website, www.seedsoffortune.org, or you can email us at hello@seedsoffortune.org. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have or inquiries about our programs.
Well, Nitiya, I want to let you know it's been great having you, and so thank you for coming and sharing about the organization. Continue the great work. Looking for great things coming from you in the near future. I mean, you're already doing great things. Greater, how about that? Greater things coming to you in the near future.
Thank you so much. A pleasure to be on today.
All righty.